we're speaking with the CEO of South of Purvankara. Mallanna Sasalu is joining us. Sir, thank you so much for joining in, Mr. Sasalu. Let me just start by understanding the core question which is there right now. Is there any fallout you're seeing of what's happening in the Middle East right now?
Thank you, Tamanna. Thank you for having me here. Yeah, global things that happen that are out of our control, and what we can do is how we respond to what happens. And for as an Indian developer, I'm really looking at it positively in terms of the NRIs generally who used to invest in India invested big in Dubai and Middle East. So now there is an opportunity. End of the day, people need a home, and home is here in India, and I believe that it's going to be quite positive for us. We generally have around 12% of our total sales through for NRIs accounts for 12% of our sales, and we have a large development that's coming up in Cochin. So I'm a bit excited about this, even though the situation is unfortunate, but it's positive for Indian real estate, I guess.
This is the first time I've heard anyone in the last week or so saying, I'm a bit excited about what's happening. You did qualify it, saying that even though the situation is
as I said, that it is unfortunate and it is something that not in our control. Yes, any human loss and anything that's called a war. And
no, of course, but
yeah.
I'm trying to understand, have inquiries gone up in the last week or so? On what basis are you seeing this as an opportunity?
Not yet. It's our prediction at this point of time, because people will be still under shock and dismay at what's happening at this point of time. So I expect them to recover and really understand that home is here.
Home is here. I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you a follow-up on this, because this has been the big debate and question. People who have lives they are very happy with in these countries, in Gulf countries, will they have a knee-jerk reaction and want to move back, or will they want to have a safe haven home in India? And will that actually be seen? Or if in a few days things settle down, it goes back to normal? That's a bet you're taking. And your thinking is that they will want to have now at least a home in India if they're not moving back.
A large number of people are living there, right? And people will be in different, at levels of in their entire life, their life cycle. So people who have already bought homes, people are well settled, and people have made either Dubai or any place in UAE as their life. That's where they want to live. Maybe they would not consider people who are young and people who are still in their 30s and still thinking about where to live. And I think those are the people who are going to get attracted to this opportunity.
Mr. Sasalu, just a quick question on the impact on raw materials, because we've seen very sharp spikes and, of course, volatility in the underlyings as well. So crude, just as an example, having hit that 119 odd mark, and then now as we're speaking, it's back to about 94, 95. I'm talking about Brent here. So that's an impact that you will see in cement, in various raw materials that you're using. So will you allow for a little bit of time to go by to settle things before you bite the bullet and acquire at higher prices? Is there likely to be a slight slowdown in construction?
I don't think so. Basically, what about it is that you're right. The crude went up to $110, and maybe today it's come down to 94 or $91 is what I saw. So these are all things that these shocks will definitely have some impact on the raw materials, because a lot of things that we use depends on petroleum products, and also the transportation and everything that we use has a lot of petroleum related prices. So it will go up a little bit, but I don't think that it has got so much of impact that we have to really think so to reduce our operations. And also, it is not, as a real estate company, that we are not blessed with that kind of an opportunity where we can just make changes, twists and turns as quickly as the things change in the world. We have to be going with a long-term vision of what's happening in this country and where we are going. As you can see that everywhere else, there is so much of disturbance, and India continues to do well. And just now I heard Ms. Dati talking about it as to that we continue to chug along because of our ability to consume and as a potential as a country to consume is so large at this point of time, and over the next 20 years, in any which way that we will be growing. So these are all, on the way you will find some little bit of obstructions, and we should keep moving.
I'm glad you listened to that conversation. Just another question, and since you're talking about long-term implications, perhaps you're not going to be able to see that immediately. But the sense is, and the worry really is, that the south-based markets in the metropolitan cities will get impacted if there is an impact in the way, or if there is a change in the way that IT services are provided, in that you will move from a bench strength model to a delivery-based model. You won't have a requirement for as many people, and so the implication is that those people will no longer look to buy the properties that they have bought in such large numbers over the course of the last decade and a half. Is that something that worries you, Mr. Sasalu?
At this point of it is not. It is of course, there is that a huge talk about what AI can do to the world, and the readjustment of the jobs is what I call. As I was listening to Mr. Nandan Nilekani, and what he was saying is that just because the steam engines are not there, it does not mean that we are not using coal anymore. It's what an analogy. So it's what happens is that even though that this whole AI has to be implemented. If somebody has a big bank has to implement the AI, even to set that data up for usage of AI generates multiple levels of jobs that needs to happen. So yes, in the short term, there may be a little of disturbance, and I see this as a great opportunity. And in my experience, that every time there's a technological change, we've only seen progress, only more jobs are generated. So we've been seeing from printers to computers to internet, and whenever we had these kind of things, that people in the short term will have the fear of losing jobs. But in my opinion, it's just a readjustment. So we are going strong as real estate developers.
Speaking of artificial intelligence, data centers, is that something that you're pivoting towards, or managed offices, specifically data centers? What's the plan?
We're not really there yet, and of course we are exploring the possibilities. We are big in commercial development with around 2.5 million square feet of portfolio in Bangalore. But as data center business itself, data center business has commercial real estate, and it has got energy, power, and it also has got technology. So it's quite a number of things come together. So we're not there yet, and in the future that we will be looking at it, because that's the way forward, with the country saying that the data sovereignty, the rule that we have made, that data that's made here must be used here, and I believe that it's a great opportunity we should look at.
I'm just wondering, in terms of demand and where it's heading, you just answered the question that you're not worried about IT, etc. But overall, AI is going to cause some loss to jobs. We're already seeing some impact of that. Are you seeing real estate prices maybe rationalize a bit going from here in your region?
I don't call it price rationalization, and yeah, maybe it's the price rationalization. Will always be better than what the inflation, and maybe the inflation is setting at around 6.2% or whatever. So we've always done better than the inflation, right? It's if you look at the job losses, what we are talking about, the last year alone, for the year that is going by, we have leased the highest amount of office space. Who's going to lease the office space if people are not coming to office? It's definitely the human beings are getting into the office, and Google took some 3.4 1.8 million square feet, and I understand that there's another 1.8 million square feet request for the proposals are going on, which means that Google is at the center of artificial intelligence. And if they are saying that we don't need more people, and why would they take more space? And so I'm quite bullish about it.
No, clearly you are. So, I mean, you're in the business, so you have to be bullish. But I'm just asking you about the trends that you're seeing. And in terms of pricing, are you seeing any difference in residential or commercial?
I didn't see any change. In fact, that we are where we are. And of course, that whatever we saw over the 2022 to 2023, 24, that the price went up quite significantly. And I think we will not see that kind of price rise, but it will hold up and maybe doing a little better than the inflation. And as I said, that I'm bullish, and hopefully I explained the reasons for my being bullish.